Welcome to Kruger Museum. My name is Marit Conradi and I am the Education Officer at Kruger Museum. We form one of 9 museums of the Ditsong group. Ditsong means place of heritage in Tswana. The museum is often referred to as the Kruger Museum. It was the house that was built in 1884, and it was the house in which Paul Kruger lived while he was the president of the ZAR. He lived in this house with his wife Gesina and their youngest son Chart. And he lived here basically for just short of 16 years. We have what we call a museum in a box. So what we basically do, we get heritage assets, they're also called objects or artifacts in the olden days. And so we get these heritage objects, but we don't take the original. We make replicas of the heritage assets in the museum. And then we take them out to schools. It's very important for us. Many schools are previously disadvantaged communities, and so it's difficult for them to afford passes to visit the museum. The different themes that we have in the museum in a box, we first of all have the introduction, where we show a bust of Paul Kruger, not one of the huge ones that you see in this hall, but basically a small one. And then, so we just show the learners and the educators what Paul Kruger looked like. And then we have 2 lions. As you enter the museum through the front gate, there are 2 marble lions. And these marble lions, they were a gift from Barney Benato and Leo Weinthal. The second theme is where we show about coffee. Coffee was a huge thing in this household. Paul Kruger loved his coffee. He loved sitting on the front stoop, and he loved smoking his pipe and drinking his coffee. The third theme is about herbs and spices. Now, in every household, it was the task of the lady of the house to keep a medicine chest. They would use flowers, for example, rose water. They would use the leaves, they would use the stems, and then they would put boiling water on it, and that way they could extract basic medicines. It was basic medicine for if you had a headache, or if you didn't feel too well, or if you had stomach cramp. And then we get spices. Now, spices was not very readily available, so the hawkers brought material and the spices from Durban Harbour. So then the last theme that we have, and this is the one that the learners enjoy most, we actually have the clothing of pioneer children or voortrekker children. So the little girls would wear a petticoat underneath their dress, and then they had an apron on top of that to protect the dress. Because what little girls did, they had to work in the kitchen, and they also had to work in the baking oven to make sure that there's fresh bread in the house every day. And then lastly, they had a kappie. We call it a voortrekker kappie. So then we get the boys. They wore flannel pants, and they had a shirt on with long sleeves to protect them against the sun. And then they also had braces. So the braces would cross over at the back, and then in front there were buttons, and they would keep the pants up. And over the shirt they had a waistcoat. And that was just the fashion of the time. So we went to SK Moseneke School. SK Moseneke School is in Lotus Gardens, and we have a very close relationship with them. We have actually been working with them for 4 years. They are a primary school. They are SK Moseneke Primary School. So in preparation for International Museum Day, we went to them with this outreach, and we provided this outreach to them. Now, a wonderful thing happened this year. We met a lady with the name of Anna Venter. She was born in Russia, and this lady asked us to be part of the arts festival in Moscow. We were very willing to do that, and one of our friends who bring a lot of tourists, international tourists, to this museum, Mrs. Katja Firilova, she assisted us, and each of those outreach themes that we presented, she translated into Russia.